Welcome to everyone who reads and maybe thrives a little on fantasy. I am back squeezing in my indie book review on the very last day of January. This one was a thick book, 750 pages. So, amidst all my writing and editing activities, give me a little grace there. Anyway, I'm Susan Stradiotto. I'm a fantasy author and owner of a boutique publishing house called Brownswood Books. My most recent release in January of this year, so a couple weeks ago, is The Muse of Winter. It's a short original fairy tale that some reviewers have actually called um, the best prequel to The Snow Queen that they had read in a long time. I personally like the little paperback because it's got some illustrations in it, some simple illustrations that kind of enhance the story. Anyway, it's a fun read. It's short. It's on Amazon as well. If you're on Kindle Unlimited, you can grab it there too. I also have a 5-book series releasing later this year. The complete series will be out between April and August, one release a month. It's entitled The Serpentine Throne. The first in the series is Call of the Storm Sorcerer. It is an epic fantasy. It is heavy on world building. The first book has a lot of politics and it does base a lot on Japanese folklore. In books 2 through 5, the main character does dive into quite the epic adventure, which is all kind of laid out and set up in book 1. So if you enjoy full world building and a lot of that, I highly recommend you pick this up. And it's got a dragon or two throughout the story, so you might find that interesting. You also might be able to tell how much I've developed the world through the map behind me. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll use it for D&D. Anyway, on to my review for today. I am reviewing Winter's Fury by A.E. Rayne. You know what? It's snowing here in Minnesota as I actually do this video, so it feels kind of right to be reviewing this particular book. I believe it's classified as an epic fantasy, and while I think the Furic Saga series itself might be epic fantasy, this book only really has hints of that. So in order to demonstrate that, I'm going to take a look at the map and I'll share my screen here and let you see what I'm talking about. Okay, share. All right, so this is the cover that you see on the left here, and then here is the map, a picture of the map from the first pages. It's a little bit blurry because I just snapped it or scanned it in. If I look at the next slide, not most of the story, but the book starts with the main character, Yale, and I think that's how you pronounce her name anyway. That's how I pronounced it. It's Jael, Yale, in Andala, which is in Brecca. From there, they do go, I'll come back to that. It does mention Hest many times, which is farther south in the world, but I feel like this is really only a setup for future books. It also has a little side quest that starts maybe midway through with some supporting characters, and they go up to Tura in the north. But that also did feel like a setup for some future books, although there is quite a bit of intrigue in that and a little chase at the end, which kind of helped build up to the climax of the book itself. 90% of the story, though, takes place on Oz, and the climactic moment involves really one woman's plight. It impacts the broader world, but the story is only about this one character, and the arc of the story is about this one character, Yale, coming into her own. Back to me over here. And I will say that what I believe Winter's Fury is really a heroine's journey. I will be talking about a book by Gail Carriger later in another video. This book here, it talks about the narrative design of the heroine's journey, and I'm actually studying that in February side by side with the hero's journey. So come back and look for that if you're interested in narrative design. But Winter's Fury is a tale of one woman in a man's world who is thrown into an unwilling marriage in order to unite two countries with the goal of taking over a third. However, the main plot of Winter's Fury focuses on Yale, as I said before. Um, the first part of that sounds very epic, and I think it does set up for an epic journey, but the first book really is only focused on the one character and a couple of side characters. It is a 4-star read for sure, but I have seen a number of reviews that critique it and say that it is like riding a stationary bike, or it doesn't seem to move very fast. And with many, or with all due respect to those reviewers, and I appreciate them reviewing it because reviews are very important to authors. I do believe that they simply felt what they were getting was going to be the epic story within book one. And maybe that was broader in scope, maybe that it would be broader in scope rather than focusing on intently on one or just a handful of characters. Honestly, when I picked it up, I did read the reviews first. I wondered if that was going to be the case. And it was kind of reinforcing or justifying in the end when I felt like that's exactly what I got. So for me, a character's inner journey, along with their outer journey, and solid world building are the most rewarding parts about reading fantasy. If you've seen any of my other posts or any of my other stuff, you'll know that one of my favorites is Jacqueline Carey, and I think she does those three in combination really well. So when I rate a book, and I can be fairly harsh on occasion, I take an average of about 4 things: character development, writing style, world building, and plot. So when I rated Winter's Fury, character development, I gave it a 5-star. It absolutely, it absolutely was phenomenal in that. I think Miss Rayne did a really wonderful job with Yale and with Edmund and Eric and a lot of the side characters also. Um, for the writing style, I would only give it 3 stars. It's a simple and mostly easy read. However, there's a good deal of emotional telling. Sometimes that it just kind of punched, and it could very well be what she intended to do, but it was a little bit hard for me, and that's probably my writer and editor hat talking more so than my reader hat. There was also lots of head hopping under the guise of an omniscient point of view. And okay, that's a choice. The author admits that she made that choice, but still, I found it jarring to, in one paragraph, read what one person was feeling, and the very next paragraph, it flipped to a different character. So that I found jarring. World building, I would give it 4 stars or maybe slightly lower. I'm going to caveat that though. I love good and original and thorough world building. Even if it's steeped in real historical lore, world building is my jam. If you read my blog or any of that, you can tell that I adore thorough world building. I felt that this book was light on that aspect. Okay, so that's another choice, but I did feel it was light for my taste. It relied on a lot of common reader knowledge of Norse mythology, which made it also not super original. I'd have liked a better map. I showed that earlier, and it was hard on my eyes, and that could just be me because my eyes aren't the greatest, but I can't read a lot of what's actually on the map. I'm hoping that's improved in subsequent books. which I do plan on reading. That being said, the world building was consistent, and I always had the feeling I was right there with the characters, and it always felt cold, kind of like a Norse winter might, and like the snow I'm getting right now. Plot. I did give plot a 4 star, 4 solid star um, because I enjoyed the arc of the main character, but there were some promises made that weren't fulfilled. I don't necessarily mind that either because it's a series and I expect there to be threads that kind of drive me through to the next. But it does restrict me from giving a 5 star review to a plot in a single series. It's part of why I average out my scores. The bottom line is, I think this is a 4 star read. If you like immersive fantasy, this is absolutely going to do the trick. However, please do be aware that the bulk of the story is a single person's journey rather than a huge epic war type or political type maneuvering. It really focuses in on Yale. So, with that being said, that's my review of Winter's Fury. My next indie book will be The Counterbalance, which is book 1 of the Ruling Magic duology. Hint, the sequel is coming out, I believe, in March. And you can order this now on Amazon or any bookstore, and you can pre-order the sequel to this also. It is urban fantasy, and I hear it's an energetic and fast-paced read, so I really can't wait. Lissa Boltz is the author on that, and I'm actually connected with her on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm hoping that I have high hopes for this book. I'm also hoping that maybe I'll have a little surprise in the next review. You'll have to subscribe down below to get notified on that. So, if you enjoyed this review, hit that button. You know which one, or there's a couple, subscribe or the thumbs up. I try to do at least one independently or small publisher published book a month. And I hit some of the big 5 traditionally published too. You'll see I did Addie LaRue earlier this month. Have you read Winter's Fury? If you have, I'd love to hear your comments below. I'll be watching and I'll be responding. Until next time, grab a warm drink, grab a good book, and dive right in. Cheers.